Hey guys, I wanted to talk about my week a little bit and and how that has played out for me spiritually. This week has been a bit of a challenge for me. I was especially challenged on Wednesday. I not doing the greatest, I'll put it mildly, in driving, and that's discouraging for me. And it's really frustrating to see, where I should be and how hard I'm working at driving and not not seeing the result that I want to see. So at this point it's probably going to be that I do not achieve the goal of getting my license at the end of this, and that is something that I need to accept. However, on July 3rd, there was also some games and such that they were playing in celebration of July 4th, which was coming up the next day, and in one of the games that they were playing, it was that they were throwing these balls at this dunk tank where someone would be sitting on the seat, and if you hit this one spot it would fall in, just like a regular dunk tank. And I don't know how many times I got up there, but I got up there quite a few times and I threw, and every time I missed. And just that going through my head, and me thinking, man, I'm a few years ago, 6 years ago rather, I would I would have done this and done it well. And driving shouldn't even be a question for me whether I'm okay to drive or not. I would be driving and I would drive well. That was how I did things. And so it's hard for me to see where I've been and what I think was amazing and great, and to see me now physically and just see that I'm not where I want to be. And so that got me in a really depressed state of mind and a depressed kind of attitude. And I was angry. I didn't understand why God had allowed me to be this way, and it's frustrating, and it's something that we consistently battle. It's something where I can read scripture, and I can see that, you know Paul talks in Second Corinthians about this thorn in his flesh, and how he implores God. He asks God, please remove this thorn from me. But you know, God God says basically no. He tells him, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. And how many times do we see that in characters throughout the Bible narrative, throughout that biblical just story, that telling of the truth? And I've been reading in Job, and Job is someone who I feel that I can resonate a bit more with, because Job went through some pretty awful stuff, but he maintained his integrity. And I read I've I've read quite a few chapters of Job, but one verse in chapter 1 that really stuck out with me is Job 121. Well, actually, I'm going to begin in Job 120. And this is after Satan has been allowed by God to test Job. Maybe I should begin in verse 13. It says, "Now on the day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, 'The oxen were plowing and the donkeys feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans attacked and took them. They also slew the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you.' While he was still speaking, another also came and said, 'The fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you.' While he was still speaking, another also came and said, 'The Chaldeans formed 3 bands and made a raid on the camels and took them and slew the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you.' While he was speaking, another also came and said, 'Your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and behold, a great wind came from across the wilderness, and it struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they died, and I alone have escaped to tell you.'" Alright, that is verse 19 now. Verse 20, 21, and 22 tell about Job's response to just all this garbage, all this terrible, awful news that he has just heard. So let's read that. "Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head." This is awesome, this part. "And he fell to the ground and worshipped, and said, 'Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.'" Through all this, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God. So in the next chapter, Satan is allowed to attack Job physically. And I want to read a couple of verses out of this second chapter that I feel are important to when Job is attacked physically. So I'm going to read verses 9 and 10. "Then his wife said to him, 'Do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die.' But he said to her, 'You speak as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we indeed accept good from God and not accept adversity?' In all this, Job did not sin with his lips." Wow, that is incredible. I'm in awe. I wanna be able to when bad things happen to me, I want to fall down and worship God. I want that to be my attitude. Because if my attitude is about me or about something else that can be poured into me, my attitude is going to be terrible if that gets taken away or damaged or something of that nature. The attitude that Job has when bad things come into his life, he falls and worships and says, "Blessed be the name of the Lord." It's not God's fault that these things have entered your life. It's not, God didn't do something wrong by allowing these two to come into your life. God does not tempt us. He tests us. And there's a strong difference between tempting and testing. So I've read the book of Job multiple times, and I'm reading through it again. I would encourage you guys to read through the book of Job if you haven't, because there is so much power in the book of Job.